everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Command Center, your video game book club podcast. My name is Daniel, and with me is...
My name is Nathaniel Lamb, brought to you by the smooth taste of Bud Light Lime. And like Bud Light Lime, I finished this time.
And after hot debate last is me, Jay.
Ah, yes. We
Son
had a little bit of
Rivera.
an outtake on the take before this, because my two friends are idiots. But we're here now, and we're ready to go. So, as you might have heard last episode, this month we played Dead Island, the definitive edition. All three of us played on PC this time. It was a little fun.
I enjoyed it.
A
Yeah.
little not. So
Yeah.
Nate finished the game, and this time Jason and I did not. However, I need to point out that Nate literally just finished it about 10 minutes ago.
No, it was hours ago. You definitely weren't here. It wasn't on your computer, the one with the recording on it right now, 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
No.
Believe him at your own peril, guys.
Peril.
So just like our initial thoughts on it, what do you guys think?
I mean, I played the original back in the day, which is his remake, and I really like it. It's not perfect. Like, Left 4 Dead was great because it was quick and easy and done. This has a storyline. This develops. It's not perfect. It's got its faults, but it's good. It's just solidly good. That being said, I have zero plans to play any of the expansions. Like, I'm done.
Well, we played the definitive edition, which had all the DLC and Riptide in it.
But Riptide takes place after the
I'm
game.
pretty sure
Yeah.
Riptide takes place.
No,
after,
I literally
Oh, you
just
looked it up?
researched
Okay,
this
well, then
Okay, well,
that's...
there you go.
in preparation for this podcast, and it included
and we
Riptide.
clearly did not.
Not because I
So-
wasn't finishing the game right now. I just decided not to do any research. I definitely wasn't finishing the game and therefore did no research.
Yeah, I mean, it's very oddly specific, but
Yeah.
I believe him, dog. I don't know why, but I do. So yeah, I don't know. At least I might have not gotten to it. I'm not sure what Riptide was in the game. Do you know what Riptide, what the extra
No.
content was?
No. My presumption, so, Jay, what you said that you thought Riptide took place afterwards. Is it... Oh, you just thought that. Okay.
You're just making shit up
Yeah.
as you go.
Well-
I thought misinformation, I guess,
There's-
or misremembering.
What was the other
was-
the other piece of expansion? There were two expansions, Riptide, and the other one was...
There was the only one expansion, Riptide.
Yeah, I think it was
I'm-
just Riptide.
They had like an offshoot retro 8-bit game that came with definitive edition. I guess we have it
Sure.
somehow.
which you
And-
clearly did not research 2 seconds ago.
I mean, it's
right?
good one of us did
course
some
not.
research because I was about to spew... I was going to keep the chain of bullshit running and spew some more. Are we cursing? We're cursing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
This
Last
is
time.
I forgot,
tagged
man.
as not safe for work.
All
So
right,
you know,
good.
fuck, shit,
Good.
balls, cock. You know, we can say whatever we want.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry,
Although
Ma.
I did give the link to this podcast to my parents.
Yeah,
So
my mom
you know,
knows too.
sorry, mom and dad.
Your mother and father are a saint.
They are together.
Yeah, well, they are humans, man.
so
Come
they're
on.
half a saint each, which means they're all right.
It varies.
Oh. So again, sorry, mom. That's all Nate.
Oh, she's like 60%. I've tasted those chips, which isn't an innuendo.
Whoa.
Which is not an innuendo.
Jesus.
It sure as the fuck should be an innuendo.
My mom makes chips.
God, I hope she listens to this
your
podcast.
Nate
and
really
gets
likes
slapped.
them. So the developer for this game is a Polish company, oddly enough, called Techland. I had never heard of them. I did a quick Wikipedia, and all I could find, the other like two games that I even recognized they made were Call of Juarez and Dying Light. I recognize both the names. I've never played either of them.
Call of Juarez is supposed to be fairly good, from what I've heard. But again, I never played it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's related. Did they build the engine? Do you know?
From the 5 minutes of research I did, no.
Okay.
Do you know anything about Dying Light?
I-
'Cause I feel like I played it, but I'm not sure. So I remember during, you know, when 360, if you have the golden live package,
yeah.
you can get like a game for free. I feel like Dying Light was one of them, and it was kind of like, it was 2D-ish, 3D models, but it was still like a 2D platform,
Right.
and it was like basically zombie-ish. I only played it for like a little
That
bit.
would make sense because on that Xbox Gold free game package, I think in 2013 or 2015, a couple of years ago, Dead Island was the free game.
Riptide. That's
Yeah.
that's the first time I played it. That's how the first time I played was when that came out for gold, and I
Really
loved
glad
it.
I paid for this game twice. Then that's awesome.
Oh, let's talk
yeah.
about that for a
Yeah,
second.
we'll get to that,
Well,
but because I never.
It's called the Chrome 5 engine.
Yeah.
Techland did build it. Sorry. This
Excellent.
this and Call of Juarez are the only two games on it. It's PS3, 360, Windows.
Now, that is the dev. So the dev isn't at fault for what we were talking about, having
Yeah.
to buy the game twice.
Mm-hmm.
The studio that released it was a German studio called Deep Silver. They had all kinds of problems. They got acquired by a bunch of different companies. They got absorbed and then let go and reacquired and all this and that. The most fun thing I found about them was in 2013, they released the special edition of Riptide. And they announced that they were going to have one. With that special edition, if you pre-ordered it, they were going to include a statuette of a mutilated, a zombie torso, I assume, not just like a random woman who they dissected.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Where was this studio based again?
These guys both just snapped their heads to me when I said mutilated torso and looked at me like I was crazy.
You said zombie torso is what got my attention as
And
opposed
then I
to...
do remember hearing Germany, so
Yeah, you want to be a little careful with those fuckers.
Du hast, baby. Du
Look,
hast.
German studio, Polish developer, there's some history there. So
Well, good thanks.
So they said, okay, never mind, we're not going to include this. We're sorry, and nothing like this will ever happen again. And then a couple months later, when it released, they included the statuette anyway.
good.
Which
I'm glad.
and everyone was mad about, but I'm like, right on them, man.
Yeah,
Like,
seriously.
people who pre-ordered that thing probably
You-
wanted it.
It's because violence is fine, but sex is too far.
Exactly. It's like I can't remember which X-Men movie it was. It was one of the first class one with Jennifer Lawrence, and they had a billboard of, I think it was Apocalypse, and they had a billboard of her getting choked out.
Huh.
And people complained about it,
I remember
and they
that
had to
billboard.
take it down. Remember that?
I had a
What?
few copies of
Yeah.
it.
It's just a regular-
that was
Yeah, it's
a-
like, are you showing? It's a movie. Well, not like a movie, but obviously it's a scene in this movie completely
There's-
out of
There are
context.
movies I won't show my kids that I don't have.
Yet. None of us have kids, if that's not apparent by the fact that we're doing a video
Ha.
game podcast.
Oh God, was that intentional?
Apparent? No, I didn't mean to do that. Along the same lines as that Germany fiasco, I was kind of proud because usually when you think of prudeness and overbearing, what is the word?
Anti-asexualization of the media sort of deal. Yeah,
That's a lot more eloquent than I was going to
well,
say.
it's
but
probably wrong too. There's somebody listening to right now who's like, that's not what that means.
There's no English majors listening to us.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, because the original logo for the game had a zombie hanging from a tree.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
And they
Yeah.
were like, you can't have that be the logo on the box cover because people will see it. So they changed it to just the zombie standing by the tree, which is what we all have on our game title now. But the logo is still in the game. It's like when you start the game, the logo is still the zombie hanging from the tree. But I mean, at least America just did that.
I get why that reference would make people uncomfortable, but you can't forget history. That stuff happened. Now, and this is a zombie as well. This is an entirely different thing. I made that a little.
Yeah, I mean,
little
there
heavier
is a
than needed.
cultural thing to be careful to not inflame anything, but it's a game about killing zombies,
Yeah.
like you said earlier.
They could have. I mean, I
The
feel like
ESRB is kind of out of their mind.
have a few
sometimes.
It's more of just jumping to conclusions. Who is thinking of that when they're playing a zombie game?
It's a zombie game, and the first thing I thought when I saw the logo years and years ago when we were living at the old house was, hanging a zombie won't do anything except make a biter that's above everyone's heads. So they could have put his arms up to make it look like a zombie.
Could have been a guy they hang beforehand, and then he turned into a zombie.
Also true. And in the game, headshots don't put the zombies down, so maybe hanging does. Maybe they're incredibly breathing. I got nothing here.
They're incredibly breathing.
Yeah. Here's the recording. Incredibly breathing.
There's a little bit more background on the game. The reviews were a little bit iffy. I never played the original, really. I think I played it for all of maybe an hour.
A
but
sequel was scheduled. It just never came out.
So I did play the original
You heard it
when it came out for free, obviously. Sorry. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's honestly one of the best zombie games I played.
Talking about the original edition, I played that on this work laptop they're staring. If you guys can't see, which you can, I'm pointing at my crotch, which contains a Mighty Dell i3
you
laptop.
don't want to see his mighty Dell.
It's not meant for gaming. I play some old games on it, and it played the original one flawlessly. I booted it on my PC. The modernizing needed to be done, but I didn't see a reason why to re-release it, Definitive Edition, because it didn't look that different. It didn't play that different. The mechanics of the game have kind of a drunken sway to them, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
dehydrated. It's post a massive party.
That's a great way to describe it. It felt very arcadey to me. It felt like it should be kind of like one of those games where you have an actual gun.
Yeah.
What was the one where you would step
Time
on
Cop.
Crisis.
Time Cop?
Time
Crisis.
Time Crisis.
Well, and then there was Crisis Zone.
There was a couple
I
of
like
them.
those
Yeah,
games, yeah.
yeah. I played a lot of them. But yeah, for some reason, to me, especially how the crosshairs would move, at least for when you were the throwing guy, because it wouldn't like you would actually have to like it was weird because it would like focus on the zombie and not like you didn't really have a say in whether it was gonna be a headshot or not.
Yeah, you could aim up some, but sometimes you'd throw right over their heads.
Exactly.
I wonder if there was any behind the scenes mechanics like dice rolls or something like that, like in Borderlands and stuff like that. I don't know.
Maybe.
I feel like the dice rolls were mainly for crits, but you did get a higher chance.
I mean,
of crit if you hit
that
the
would
head.
make sense because unlike a lot of other zombie games, the zombies had like health and you could see the damage that you were
Right.
doing. So that was probably the case.
All right, so want to talk a little bit more in depth about the game. So, Nate, what was your favorite and least favorite part of it?
Definitely the sound design was by far my favorite part. Every zombie had his own sound, and some of them got downright terrifying. There's one that the only flaw I saw in the sound design was at one point there was a fast running zombie on a level above me, and he screamed as they always do before they charge you, and I couldn't hear him. So then he jumped off the ledge, landed behind me, and screamed directly in the back of my head, which it's volume by distance, so it was super loud. And then he just started punching the crap out of me, and it was one of the 3 or 75 times I screamed the F word.
And you were playing with headphones on,
yeah,
right?
surround sound
Yeah.
headphones, 6 speakers. It was it was just solid. This game, especially towards the later parts of it, I don't like scary shit. I like scary movies. Scary games. Oh my god! By the end of it, after there's one part of the game we'll get to later, got my pulse so ratcheted up. Was it Pavlov's dog with the bell?
Yeah.
It gave me that complex every time I heard the scream of either the Charger, which isn't called the Charger, the guy in the big straitjacket, the
The
big
one who runs at you.
yeah. Well, there's several that run at you, but only one of them is goddamn invincible, and you just light them on fire and run and cower. But the Charger, the normal zombies that are just fast, and then the big slow ones, which are actually pretty easy to defeat, their noises, the 3 of them, the first 2 of their noises, and the Charger, just who he is, how hard he is to kill, it literally, every time I'd hear it, even if I was bypassing them, would ratchet up my pulse to the point that I did get maybe like 4, maybe 5 of those in a couple of hours of playing. Like, well, that's enough, and I'd finish whatever quest I was on, and I'd have to stop. The level of anxiety right now, just talking about it, it's building up. That's amazing that a
Yeah.
game could do that. It's also terrible. I don't ever want to do that again. Like, that was awful. I hated it.
I do agree. Like, I thought the sound design was definitely on
Most
point.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It scared me too, and I'm notorious for being a fraidy cat. The reason I only played the game originally for an hour was because I was alone, and I'm not going to
Oh,
play a
yeah.
scary game.
Yeah, I started
in,
this game at 11 at
my
night years and
apartment
years ago, yeah.
alone. So yeah, I mean, I really loved it, and you can tell once you played it for a while, you can tell what zombies wear
Yeah.
based
Yeah.
upon what they
Yeah.
sound
Yeah.
like, which is, I guess, a mechanic they
Yeah.
probably intended.
Yeah, well,
The Suiciders, the help me.
oh my god.
You pointed that out, and I didn't realize until you did, and then I hated it.
Oh yeah. So there's the Suicider. There's what? Let's say 4 special zombies. There's the Thug, who is real slow, but he'll knock you on your ass. There's
Suicider
the
came next.
Suicider, who he's explosive. He's his one shoulder is all grown up over his head.
Like the Flood.
His face,
Yeah,
his
basically,
face
yeah,
is
it
still
basically looks like a
viewable,
Flood,
but he
yeah.
looks like a human. They move really slow.
And then the really fast ones that don't like have hands.
Oh yeah, there's long-haired ones that don't have hands. They're coming at you with their forearm bones. Which
Yeah.
for some reason are balls. The ulna and the tibia are not
like
a sphere
like
at the end.
testicles.
No, like a mace.
Ah.
Not spray pepper.
Oh, what do
but,
your balls look like, man? 'Cause
I've got a problem, and
You ever
I need
heard
to go
of
to
a
a doctor,
Morningstar?
and that's not for the podcast. And then the last
was my
one is
nickname in
the,
high school.
the Ram. The Ram is the last one, who's a gigantic
Also my
7-foot
nickname
tall
in high
guy with shoulders about as wide as most people's legs, and he's got a muzzle on and a big straitjacket, and he just and then when he sees you,
wait, what did he sound like? Can
your
he
mom
do that
listens to
again?
this? Your mom listens. All right. You're safe for now. he grunts and he can't speak because his mask is on, and then when he charges you, it's but you
There it
can
is.
hear them.
Limp Bizkit.
Oh Jesus! But the same night you determined, or the first time I noticed that the Suicider,
Uh-huh.
he in a very clear but quiet, whispered, muffled voice says, "You want to do it?"
Help me.
Yeah, and it rotates from like a whispered "help me" to a "help me," and he's like you could tell he's in pain. And I'm doing this on a ladder, so he won't approach me or attack me. So I was able to stare at this guy for like 4 minutes while it cycled through all the audios. And I swear to God, one of them was just a normal speech. And I know it didn't happen because they don't have pixels, but his pixels locked through my screen onto my eyes, and he was like, "Help me!" I was like, "Okay," and I shot the hell out of him
I
because
thought
I
you were
didn't know
gonna
how
say-
to fix him.
I thought you were gonna say you turned your computer off and went to sleep.
No, the Suiciders. Good lord,
Exploders.
the Suiciders never scared me, but the Spitters, the really bloated
The-
ones,
the
which I don't know if I
fatties,
covered
yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
So
They're
just to
waterlogged.
recap, then you're saying your favorite and least favorite part of the game was the sound design, but not really least favorite in a negative way. Least
No,
favorite
least
because
favorite-
it achieved what they wanted to do.
If they wanted a game that was scary enough to make the person who paid for it stop playing about 2 hours in, they achieved it. They could have designed 3 hours a game, and until this podcast, I never would have known that they stopped.
Fair enough. What do you think, Jay?
Oh, so like I said before, it was one of probably my favorite zombie game I've played so far. Even including Resident Evil, even though all I played was 5, apparently people do not like that one. So definitely what Nate covered, the sound was one of my biggest thing, and they definitely upgraded it from the 360 version. One of, I guess, my favorite things was that I'd realized any anime fans out there, Cowboy Bebop. I don't know if you guys,
I'm a
obviously,
huge
both
fan.
You
of
know
love those.
that I love Cowboy
No,
Bebop.
Yeah.
it's one of the more American ones.
Spike, the English dub voice actor, was throughout this game.
See, I would have
didn't
never
catch
known that
I
if you
didn't-
hadn't told
That's
me.
awesome.
Yeah. So
I gotta go play it some more.
the main guy in the lighthouse, I
Yeah,
guess?
I
or
forgot
not
his
lighthouse, the
He's
the
the
first
lighthouse.
place that we get to. It's not-
Maori, the
lifeguard
Maori
tower.
guy.
the
Lifeguard
lifeguard tower. Yeah, the
Oh,
lifeguard
the
tower.
lifeguard is...
Yeah, the
Sinamoi.
Australian-
Sinamoi is the
Sinamoi.
character's name,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's one. Yeah, so that's one of his voices. He did a couple here and there, but I've always noticed him. He's done he was the dwarf in Dragon Age. He's done a lot of video games. He was also Mass Effect, which we also talked about in our first episode.
Who was
he was
in
Grunt.
Mass Effect? No, shit, really?
Grunt.
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 Yeah,
Not
Grunt.
Groot.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
that was Vin Diesel. Who was
yeah,
earlier on.
So he was Grunt. One of my favorite things is going into the voice actors. I can pick out a voice actor like that. But yeah, I'll give this one definitely suspenseful 10 out of 10 zombie game.
Oh, I mean, buy it, try it
Yeah.
out if you haven't. Like,
Well,
it's worth it, I think.
Yeah.
What was your least favorite part about it?
My least favorite part, probably the glitches. The glitches were very apparent. I
They
think one
were
of
a little entertaining at
Yeah.
times.
they were
so-
very
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go back to the glitches because I think we all have some funny ones we'd like to talk about.
Definitely. So yeah, the glitches and probably the side quests were a bit tedious. I will
Yes,
say
there was
that,
a lot of
yeah.
fetch quests.
Bring me 5 batteries. Here's 5 batteries. Oh, thank you. This will really keep us alive. But if you've got 5 more batteries, I'd love to have 5 more batteries. It's like,
Yeah.
bitch, I got 10 batteries. I'm going to use the other 5. I'm just going to keep giving you batteries for 100 XP. Why did I bother with this?
I didn't care for the ongoing side quests, the continuous
Yeah.
ones.
It didn't
but
make sense to have them.
To be fair, though, it noted on there continuous.
No,
so
I
you knew
understand,
before you
yeah.
did it that it was a
Wait,
continuous
did
side
it
quest.
before your first... Oh.
Yeah, it did
Yeah.
for
Because you
it
get
did
into
for
a
me.
new area and you just so badly want to get everybody the things they need. I never noticed until after the fact where I saw continuous like later when I was looking through the quests. It's like, oh, that's the area
Yeah.
I don't look at.
It says continuous, so I kind of like so Jason and I completed about 54%
Somewhere
of the
around
game.
there, yeah.
You said you got to 60% on the Xbox years ago, and then today you
70 something. So
Yeah,
I got
so-
like probably 79, 80%.
way back in the day.
Yeah, way back in the day, 79, 80%. And then this time I finished probably like 72.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm glad that it said that because when we first started playing, so Jason and I played together. We lived together, so we were playing multiplayer. Nate was playing by himself. We played multiplayer a couple of
Yeah, I
times.
have no
Yeah,
but-
friends.
at least once,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh no, he doesn't. Except for us.
No.
And so we played together, and we were like, oh, we're gonna do this game all the way. We're gonna play the whole thing, and we did all the side quests for the first couple of days we were playing, and then we didn't play for a couple of days because I don't know if you guys pay attention to Rocket League at all, but we're pretty,
Rocket League, yeah.
we're pretty big into Rocket League, and the championship series was on TV, and that kind of got us in a mood to play Rocket League. So we kind of got sidetracked, and then we realized, holy shit, we're recording in 2 days.
For the record,
Yeah.
we played online that one time. I was like, cool, the guys are finally into it. Now we'll play online regularly, which is awesome. And then I waited for like 5 to 7 days.
So you're gonna blame the fact that you just finished.
And then Daniel said, hey, come over and watch the Rocket League Championship Series. That was like 2 weeks in the future. There was a 3-week span where we just didn't play online for a long time.
plead the fifth.
Yeah, I was still playing alone on my laptop And then when I realized we were kind of getting close, I was like, because I played 60% of the
Yeah.
game on my laptop. Then I jumped on my desktop and raced through everything.
I will also say I just bought Nintendo Online for the Switch, and I am back into
So
my
guys,
Mario
I'll be
Kart
doing my
addiction.
review of Dead Island. These guys are.
There were extenuating circumstances. We are as committed to this podcast as you guys are.
I mean, beyond just the frightening audio, because when I first started playing it, I had my computer was in a living room with two guys. One of them was Daniel. This was years behind. And even with them in the room and no headphones on, the game doesn't have. It's got a lot of cool stuff, but it doesn't grab you. It's not a game. Like some games you play,
It's
you'll
the
turn on.
story. I mean, it's kind of just
The story's there, but it's like they wrote a good story for a 5-hour game and then dragged it out for quite a bit. And there's a lot of quests where it's like and even in the final chapter in the prison, at one point they're like, all these prisoners are starving, and it's like, get us into the storeroom so we can get some food, because you just gone to the arsenal for the guards and there's no guns there. Like, well, we need some food to figure out what's going on. And like, I left, you go left instead of right, you go around, you fight a bunch of people, there's a bunch of propane tanks, you go through a kitchen, then you go into the storeroom. There's a door in the back of the storeroom, and I open it. It's the door in the room where the prisoners are. And there's really no reason to do that quest other than to add one more quest at the end. There's a few that are just like, let's stretch it out some. And I felt that about a lot of the side quests, the continuous quests, like Mike in the lighthouse, one of the guys you had to get the gas for to burn the bodies. After that quest, he gives you Molotovs if you bring him alcohol bottles. Cool, that's a reasonable, understandable quest. But a lot of the quests weren't, even the mainline quests, it was, oh, well, if we just give you the story that we've written, it'll be 2 quests in each location, and then you're done in 8 hours.
Which is really
Can you
surprising.
check to see if these set of people are okay? Oh, they're okay?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's surprising, is because they had, in effect, 5 extra years for development. They announced it in 2006 and it came out in 2011 after being delayed.
It did also
So-
look great for 2011. I mean, they put their
Right.
work in,
No,
just maybe
yeah,
not in the right
So
places.
that
yeah.
being said, my favorite part of the game was the graphics. Considering what time it came out, I was reading that a lot of the development went into having layers on the zombies.
And this is
So-
the original game that plays well on my i3 Dell laptop. So, like,
Correct.
it still looks great.
So they did layers on the zombies, whereas they have a layer of skin, a layer of muscle, a layer of bone, so they would have real-time damage as you're hitting them, which you can definitely see when you're playing.
That's why
And
they come at you, they're all bone when you light them on fire. I never realized
Yeah.
they're peeling away layers of the
Yeah.
enemy.
it like
Alright.
sloughs off.
Yeah, because the polys change a lot.
Yeah. So like I played as the sharp weapons expert, so I was in there a lot with like machetes and hatchets and cleavers and stuff. And you know, especially with the thugs didn't scare me because you just go behind them. If you place a shot right, it takes off their arm. You place another shot, it takes off their left arm. And then all they can do then is headbutt you.
Yeah, which they do. And if you play as a blunt weapons guy, listen to that and carry around a sharp weapon. Because I would just literally search rooms for alcohol to make Molotovs, specifically for the thugs, until you told me that. Never thought to take off their arms
Yeah,
once.
it makes them pretty much defenseless, and it's an easy way to kill them. But I think it was really cool the way they did that. It's kind of I used to play racing games, and I would, as a kid, like on 64 and PlayStation and stuff, and I would wish that like when you get into wrecks, the car didn't just bounce off the wall; it would get some real time damage. And I feel like this game kind of scratched that itch. Whereas like if you hit him in the face, half his face is
Yep.
gonna come off. If
I
you
think
hit him in the
Burnout was
leg,
like that, no?
it'll take off his leg, which I thought was great. On like adding on to that graphics thing too, what I thought was really cool was the game kind of the way that the weapons worked kind of reminded me of Borderlands, where you could upgrade them using
Yeah.
materials you
Well,
find.
you could tell they were procedurally generated. Like, you would have the grays, your whites, and then all the colored ones. It was like Fearless Machete versus Merciless Machete versus
Yeah.
where Diablo and Borderlands had that element of this is a randomly generated weapon, and it's 1% chance to be a non-white, meaning a more unique item.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean non-white. It's where the flavor is. And, like, all my best weapons were green and blue.
To each his own.
Yeah.
But what I really thought was cool was when you upgrade those weapons, like the first one I did was a shock mod. And I was like, cool, it's going to do lightning damage, electricity damage. And when I upgraded my machete, it shows a battery pack with wires that are
Yep.
sparking on it. And I was like, that's cool as shit. Like, it's
Yes.
actually showing
Yeah.
physically.
The-
Exactly, yeah.
Did
What's
you get
going
the
on?
the magic
Yeah.
wand mod at all?
I got the mod. I never used it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
same
use it
here,
on my
yeah.
police baton, and it's got the battery with the it's the shock mod. But then on top of it, there's like something. It's like there's like another battery on the other side, and so it'll shock everybody. But every now and then, it just knocks them down, and it's like, yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool
Yeah.
to see it physically represented, which I think that was a really cool detail they added. Because
Yeah.
if they didn't, a lot of games do that, where usually it's with guns, where it's like, oh, now you have electricity ammo. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, this is basically magic now.
BioShock. BioShock upgrading the guns. It's very similar to that, where you can see the upgrades go on your
Right.
guns.
I think it's cool. Just a little detail that a lot of games forego to just say like, oh, it's just not magic, but
Yeah.
now you have this power, but we're not going to show you
In
how
Diablo,
or why.
it's a poison axe now, and it's tainted
And-
slightly green. But
Yeah,
it's the same
exactly.
model, yeah.
It's not. And that game had constraints,
Mhm.
but a lot of games that have the ability don't do that because of other constraints. But it was cool to say they put that time into that, whereas they may have left things off. And so my least favorite part of the game was the tediousness and the repetitiveness. And
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
going on what you were saying, where there were a lot of fetch quests.
Yeah.
It was mostly fetch quests
You
when
have
they
to
weren't.
find, what was it in the lifeguard tower? So one of you get out of this hotel at the very beginning, and you go to a lifeguard station, and you're dying, and Cinemoy saves you. Cinemoy's who's the voice actor? He's the one you're talking.
Spike from
from
Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
And he's like, he gets you started on the game. All his quests are your starting area, and so your first quest is to get to the lifeguard station or tower, which then once you get everybody there, everybody around you gives you some quests. And one of them's like, find my girlfriend. You find her.
Nah, I'm good.
No, it's a lady looking for her husband.
Her
You find
husband,
him.
yeah.
He's like, no, I'm just gonna stay here with these two hot women and get high in this bungalow over the water.
Uh-huh,
Like it's,
I
yeah.
can feel that.
And then you get there, and so it's the palm tree. It's not palm trees, but it's all on a dock.
It's the raised cabanas
You get
over
there,
the
the raised cabanas
water.
over the water. You get there, and there's two people there, and they give you quests and
to find alcohol, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and it's
which I can also
not
understand.
just alcohol. Find branded champagne.
Oh, that
which I
annoying
proceeded
woman.
to search.
Find me
champagne. Oh, they got that
Svetlana.
in stereo. Svetlana, yes. And then I spent like 3 hours finding Svetlana champagne. Like, where's this going? And I give her the
It's a
champagne.
continued quest.
And
Yep.
there's my fault with the game. You complete the quest, or they give you the quest, and they immediately, there's no recognition of the NPCs or in the code that you haven't left yet. So you give her the champagne, and within one heartbeat, she goes, "I need champagne!" And it's like, you haven't drank the bottle. And then I find out it's a continuous quest.
If that's their way of showing you, that's infuriating.
It was like, I just wasted 5 hours of my life to find annoying Svetlana, and that's when I found out beating the crap out of the NPCs doesn't kill them. They're not affected.
So yeah, any other thoughts about it? I mean,
Are we jumping into a synopsis? Shortly?
so
Thoughts?
like I said, Jason, I didn't finish the game. So as far as story goes, how would you say that stands up to, like, let's say as a zombie movie? Is it your cookie cutter regular zombie story? Did they deviate from that in any way, or is it just basically playing a zombie movie?
I feel like I don't watch a ton of zombie movies.
But you know what they are.
Like 28 Days Later. You don't know this guy. He's just Tom Q generic. Oh, it is sliding down. My mic's sliding down. Excuse me one moment. He's just Tom Q white British guy, and he's just your representative of the viewer. In this, all the player characters, the 4 that are available, are sharp, thrown, guns, and blunt weapons. He's not smoking blunts the whole time, but they all have they all have cool backstories in that. So I played the blunt guy, and he's a washed up rapper from New Orleans. He had one big hit in the 90s or whatever, and then he got this contract to play Benoit, the resort you're at, and he's going to revitalize his career. He's got a bunch of new pieces, and another character is a former rugby athlete. What you're not hearing is there's currently a ninja mic stand fixing going on quietly in the background. And then another character is just a hostess at the hotel. The third one was the firearm specialist. None of us played her. We were waiting for a fourth. Well, she was a former cop, right?
Which was supposed to be Zach.
Yeah. And they all have these.
she's supposed to be a former
They all
cop,
have
yeah.
these interesting backstories, which doesn't amount to much, but it gives you some relation to
The
why
sharp
the
guy
characters-
wasn't that very
He's a
interesting.
former-
He was a former football player.
Football or rugby?
Football,
Yeah. And
Which was also very confusing that they're on, where is it? Near New Guinea?
Benoit, near Papua New Guinea. But
But-
the idea is it's a tourist destination. That's why you've got. My guy was from New Orleans.
But why did they have football helmets? Like American football helmets.
That was a thing that bothered me.
I didn't
You'd
think
come
about that.
across zombies that were wearing football helmets.
Yeah.
Who the fuck died in regular street clothes wearing a football helmet?
the ones with the
But
police,
also, what bothered me more, you're in New Guinea. Who is wearing regular football helmets?
you
in
see
New
these
Guinea?
zombies
Oh,
with the
American
helmets shortly
football
after you get
helmets in
your
New
first
Guinea.
gun. So it reduces head damage, which I didn't think about because I've never really threw many weapons. I just beat the hell out of everything.
Yeah.
But it did disappoint me when I got my first gun. The guy comes up with a football helmet. It's like, that's not going to slow down this 9mm. Not only did it not slow it down, literally didn't kill him when I shot him in the head. It's a zombie game, and headshots don't kill.
I feel like it makes sense in the constraints of the game, because another thing I really liked about it was in so many zombie games, the zombies are just fodder.
Yeah.
Like with Left 4 Dead, which was a different type of game. That was an arcade game.
You could machine gun center mass on a horde and get right through it.
I
Exactly.
did not care for Left 4 Dead.
But what I liked about it was when we first started playing, we get out of the starting area and we get out into like the city basically, and we come around the corner and there's 4 zombies. In any other zombie game, it's like, oh, it's only 4. In this one, we have to stop for a minute and be like, do we really want to fight these guys? How do we go about it? Should I go around back? There's this type and this type. How are we going to fight these guys? Because you're not like an overpowered kind of godlike player.
Even as I was playing the melee, I was playing kind of the tank character. One of my perks, a lot of my perks could make the zombies attack me instead. And even then, 4 was a big deal. 4 was something. I had to deal with that. I usually jumped up on a car and just swung a hatchet at him.
It's a rare case of a zombie game actually being kind of hard.
Yeah.
Which our generation enjoys a hard game because. Okay, God.
I'm not laughing. Don't look at me.
We like it hard.
Game.
I got nothing. You just did that. We're just waiting for you. That was on you.
No, I mean, that's really all I say. I like it hard, and I want everyone to know it.
I also did you guys notice there seemed to be like a sliding scale in that if you had a group of zombies, and it's something I always did, because you got the screaming fast ones, and so you go up, there's 6 zombies around a corner. You kind of dance up and down until they see you. You'll hear one of them scream, run at you. You backpedal, throw a thrown weapon into him. It usually kills them 9 out of 10 times. Another one comes out faster. But so then the 4 are coming at you, and they would always tend to spread out. They never bunched up. Made it really hard to get them with grenades or Molotovs, because I do feel like there was a sliding scale that some were slightly faster and weaker, and some were slightly slower. It's like they were showing a slow evolution to the thug was the one that was like real slow and would kick your ass. And I don't know if maybe it was just in my head, or if they were different levels and that gave them different speeds.
In your head, zombie.
Ha ha! But
well, we're done. Thanks, guys.
All right. Hope you enjoyed the episode, because that's the top of our comedy potential.
But like it was a challenge. It was a genuine challenge.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
Did you got to Yerma on the Xbox, the woman who's running through the woods, not Kim or whatever?
No, I never got to her.
So I was googling.
Yeah,
about,
I never got to her.
Googling about Riptide, and she's the start of Riptide. She was apparently patient zero in the whole outbreak, which really says the expansion was kind of written after the fact, because there was nothing in there. You find her in a mausoleum asleep, and you think she's a zombie, and she wakes up, but she's what starts Riptide.
That's some EA shit right there.
Yeah. You got a popular game, you make an expansion, but usually try to write it in better.
You don't make it before the game is out.
I
mean, you do, but you shouldn't.
They kind of push the story. Maybe you were supposed to know she was patient zero. I don't know, because you go to this mausoleum to find uninfected Papua New Guinean flesh because of in the lore you're finding these documents, the Benoi Herald excerpts that are all about Papua New Guinea, which is really cool. It's actually kind of a history lesson for what was true, if it was true. But Papua New Guinea had no valid protein source till Europeans arrived and brought pigs, so cannibalism was prevalent. Cannibalism leads to prions, a brain virus, and that's what this was supposed to be. So you're looking for uninfected flesh for these scientists.
This history lesson brought to you by Nate.
And Dead Island. You're looking for uninfected flesh, uninfected with the zombie virus of native New Guineans. So you go to this New Guinean tribe, you prove yourself in what was the second most difficult combat exercise in the game. Then eventually the shaman takes you to the island where the mausoleum is, which is another island off you, and the idea is you're going to find a mummified old warrior, and take some of his flesh. So you've got access to the antibodies for the prions that were caused by the Papua New Guinean historical cannibalism, but had yet to be affected by the zombie virus, so they could see the unmutated and mutated and maybe generate a vaccine. Instead, you find this mid-20s native woman asleep. The shaman says she's a demon. Everything's a demon. Everything's a demon to him. And
everything is a devil to you, mama!
The zombies aren't demons. The zombies are the unsleeping warriors, or something like that. Something kind of lame. And he promptly tries to kill her, and you're like, what the hell? And then one of your party shoots her. So if you're playing single player, every time there's a cutscene, all 4 of the characters are there. The gun lady shoots him in the back. He dies. She gets up, and then immediately the melee guy, which was my character, goes, she's a zombie, let's kill her. And it's like, yo, we just covered this. We're not going to kill her. You save her, and she runs you through the woods to just piss you off.
So I didn't get too far through the story, neither did Jay. But I did notice that in the few story parts we had, it seems like they kind of maybe started developing the game where they're going to have you be able to make choices,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
maybe cut that out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
most
It
definitely,
did definitely have a feel later in the game. The NPCs start referring to you as the heroes or whatever, as in there's a group of you. It's like they started it saying, oh, you can play it single player or multiplayer, and then they ended it like, here's the story we're going with.
It was about a third of the way through the game when all 4 of the playable characters ended up showing up in the cutscenes.
And
whereas
When we
before
were
there
playing
weren't.
with each other, you asked me, I was like, hey, did you have a choice at that part? I can't remember which
It
part
was last night. We were playing, and they send you away from the church, and they tell you, hey, go find these other people, and, bring them back, and, tell them they can survive here with us. And you get there, and they don't want to come back. They want nothing to do with you. They kick you out, and you end up radioing back to your headquarters, and
Is this a story
you're
arc?
like, hey, they don't want to come back. She says, oh, well, we'll just supply them. We're going to supply the whole island, and we're gonna help everybody. Your player character, the person you're playing as, all 4 of them are there. They have this big debate, like, no, screw these people. We're going to go back. They don't want our help, whatever. And the people back at your headquarters are like, no, we need to help them. Or I guess the one person back at the headquarters says we need to help them.
You've just raided the grocery store.
Yeah.
Then eventually it turns into, all right, I guess we'll do what she says anyway. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, that was a dumb idea. These people don't want help. Why would you share resources in a zombie apocalypse? So I look at Jay, I was like, did you have a choice in that? Because we were both sitting there like, oh, they're totally going to abandon these fucks. And
This wasn't
we
the-
don't.
Because both of our characters were like, no, screw that.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and they had good points.
Yeah.
They should have helped them.
This was the people in the there's like that car
It was,
lot.
it was where the mayor was.
Oh, the rich people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Screw the rich. The rich people were such a short piece of the story. Like they were there, and then you come out of the sewers, and there's zombies running around everywhere. You're like, oh, they're all dead. Well, that's what you get for being dicks. Bye.
I actually really liked that
Yeah, me
because
too.
it didn't. A lot of the pieces of the story, at least that I saw, didn't hand feed you what happened.
Yeah.
They just left clues.
Yeah, you just
And-
come back up out of the sewers. The guard isn't there.
Well, the
Well,
gu-
it's also because we gave him alcohol props.
That's what I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
So
oh my god, what if you didn't give that?
one of the missions when you first get there, there's a guard guarding the gate. A guard guarding. Imagine
Well,
that.
he's guarding the entrance to the sewer, right?
Yeah.
Which is where the zombies are.
Correct. And he asks you for alcohol. He's like, I have to stand here all day. I have to guard the gate. I want to get
Did you say
drunk.
he was complaining about wanting to pee?
They won't even let him pee. So he asks you to go get him alcohol. You bring him alcohol, and that's the last mission you have in this area. So then you leave, and then eventually you have to come back to this area, and it's been overrun. Everyone's dead. There's zombies everywhere. And it's implied that, the guard was drunk and let zombies in, which
Well,
I thought was pretty cool. They didn't just say, the guy was drunk.
But when you walk back in that area and he's not there, and you immediately hear a zombie scream, it gives you a pop-up quest. Figure out what happened, which you already
Does
knew.
it?
Yeah, because it makes you go up to the mayor's office to find out that.
I didn't realize that was the quest.
No.
Yeah,
yeah.
because it just immediately because you were going back to talk to the mayor, I believe.
Yeah, I
But when
believe
you
so,
walk
yeah.
in, it's like new quest is like all the quests have weird names. It's like they're like emo songs.
Well, one of them was Welcome to the Jungle. At
Yeah,
least.
and then you find the jungle. That's one.
Yeah.
Wait, is that the one where you? No, that's not. That's when you get to the city. Is Welcome to the Jungle, right?
No, Welcome to the Jungle is when you go into the jungle.
Okay, yeah. But so there's a little banner quest that pops up, and I didn't even look at it because I immediately saw the quest marker had been to get through the doorway, and the minute you get through the doorway, a track. So I was just following the track,
That's exactly what happened to me.
and
just didn't even pay
I just
attention.
hit I to change my inventory. Went to quests, and it was like the quest was determine what happened in the mayor's palace or mayor's mansion. It's like it's really obvious, but this is now suddenly why I'm going to the mayor's office. Never mind that I believe you had to go to the mayor's office to get a key anyway, and he wasn't going to give it, and he's now a zombie. Maybe I don't
He
remember.
was a
I-
thug. For some reason,
Yeah,
they turn into a thug.
That old fuck, that old balding piece of shit,
Yeah.
scrawny ass pencil neck bastard became a thug. I guess that means I'll be a thug when
thought
I
the
become
same
a
thing.
zombie.
There was another side quest I think for the church, and you had to find some guy's wife.
Oh yeah,
And
we
you go
bring up the
into an
signs.
apartment complex, and she's a thug. It was
Yeah.
like, what the?
Yeah, any.
What, did you marry like a Norwegian woman?
Hey man, those
She
Papua New
retired from
Guineans
the
are
WNBA,
no
she went
joke.
to Benoi. But like no, that any of the named characters you had to find were almost always of the special zombies. There's one explodes and has a huge growth. One of them is a gigantic, like fat bastard level. Shut up, fat bastard level.
How big was
sized
his growth?
guy and spits vomit at you. One of them has no
Huh.
hands and stabs you with bone. And the other one is a thug that looks just like a really large person. So every named character you had to
So
find.
it was a big person with a large growth who stabbed you with his bone. Interesting name. What game did you play? Because we were playing Dead Island.
It was Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
I really hope you tuned in just now. Somehow. It was.
This is not a porn podcast.
Yeah.
Is it like boss fights where they have a weakness they have to exploit, or is it just shoot this guy till he's dead and you're either
For me,
powerful
watching
enough
it,
or
it
you're
looked
not?
I feel like they did in that if the thug is the first boss, because there's one thug guarding the lifeguard tower, the second area, right? And so he comes out of the garage at you. You guys remember that? And for me, the reason he was a boss is that they put propane tanks all around you. It's clear you're supposed to use the propane tanks on him. Then later you're facing thugs regularly because now you know use fire. You guys cut their arms off. If you play the game, cut their arms off. Please.
like men.
Yeah, I just lit them on fire like pyromens and
Pyromensers?
pyromaniacs.
Pyromensers.
Then they all kind of have a mechanic.
Pyromancers.
The ram. You guys face the ram out front of the church. The ram out front of the church is the big guy.
Yeah.
How'd you kill him?
Throwing a bunch of shit at him.
He ran at me, and I jumped out of the way, and then he wasn't running anymore, so I stabbed him a bunch.
Exactly. I feel like once you reach that part, because there's the suiciders, you can stay away from them, and a thrown weapon will blow them up. The bloaters who are spitting at you, which you don't find until after.
In the sewers.
In the sewers, yeah. You can kind of avoid them. They're kind of lame.
You can run right past
Yeah.
them.
You can run-
Yeah.
The thugs, you cut their arms off. The ram, I feel like they ran out of let's make a puzzle here and just said, oh, he's big. He takes no bullet damage to his body, only to his head. So just beat him to death. But he charges you constantly and knocks you over. I feel like they ran out of mechanics. And then after that, literally after you see the ram, there's no new zombies. That's when the game...
the sprinter. The bald one with the
Oh,
balls.
yeah. You're right. There's that one. But, and again, that one, there's no real workaround other than with both the ram and the sprinter. What I would do is make sure I had a car and run that bitch over. And, like, if I didn't have a car, I'd turn around and go find a car.
I will say one of the negatives of this game is a lot of things can be solved by just running
it
the bitch
over with a car.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a negative. I think it's a positive.
It is.
I loved driving the cars, especially when they soup up the truck to make it like
The armored car?
the killdozer.
Yeah.
And you can just drive through the city. Well, really, with any car.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, the cars,
The
the only damage they would take is the windshield getting destroyed, and then you just kick it out.
Yeah.
But usually we would just drive everywhere, even
Yeah.
if it was very, very close, and run everything over until it was clear,
Yeah.
and then do our
There were
quest.
several
But
missions-
I liked that about it.
Yeah.
Because I feel that was a little bit more realistic. Because if I was in a zombie apocalypse, I wouldn't walk anywhere
Yeah.
if I had the choice.
Oh, most
I would drive
definitely.
my car and run
I
everybody
also
over.
wouldn't use a gun at all.
And this game was very, very melee focused.
Yeah, the guns, like if you were using guns on zombies, you were doing it wrong. The only time I ever used a gun on zombies was when I was in a sprinting portion where the zombies kept coming, and there was one zombie in front of me, and I had forgotten that my character had the ability to knock them over.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
always
very
thought that
regular.
like if a zombie apocalypse ever happened, I would just go back to medieval times and put some armor on, get a horse, joust.
I mean, you're not wrong. That's actually like probably a untapped potential for media. Zombie apocalypses
In the medieval times?
in any other time besides modern.
Well, they had what was that? The Pride and
Whoa.
Pride
Pride,
and Prejudice and Zombies.
Back to the game.
I never saw. I'm just saying that would be cool as shit.
Yeah,
But so they kind of run out of mechanics. Sorry, I'm gonna finish this. They run out of mechanics, and then they start throwing storyline stuff at you. Where at one point, what's the mechanic's daughter's name? Jen.
Jen.
Yen.
She's like, I gotta go here, and you're like, cool, I got a car, and you start walking towards the car, and she just runs into the jungle, and you're like, what is this bitch's problem? And you have to chase her,
Yeah,
and
she
save her
runs
the
the
whole way.
entire
She
time.
runs the whole way, and then Yerma, who's the patient zero, you find her in the mausoleum of the natives.
The Riptide.
When you get her out of the mausoleum, she's like, we're not gonna go that way because the jungle's full of zombies. It's like, yeah, I fought my way here. We're gonna go this way, which is an area filled with nothing but the fast zombies. And I threw all my best throwing weapons at them, only to find out they keep spawning and she keeps running. And you're just supposed to run through it. And that was the point of the game where, like, my heart wouldn't stop racing for the rest of the game. Because they start to use the story to take away the car from you. They give you the car to get the quests done, to get the experience, to get where you need to be in terms of playing the game. They've run out of new, not game mechanics, but zombie mechanics. And now they're just starting to throw hordes at you. And it gets to a point where it doesn't matter what your skills are, your weapons are. It really does come down to you're managing your stamina and how many zombies you can keep knocked down. These two, when they first started playing, said this is a game about kicking zombies to death. It is. Once you knock them down, you can just kick them to death.
Wrestle kick.
Yeah,
Wrestle
wrestling
kick. Yeah.
kicking them,
Well, everybody gets every class gets an ability to one or curb stomp them. It takes 2 stomps. They have to be down, and it kills them. The heavy and maybe some of the other classes.
I think the other ones do.
Yeah. I got a skill where I could one stomp them, but even getting the crosshair to sit right, so it would give me that option, often resulted in me just kicking the zombie to death.
I also thought that mechanic was more of a detriment than anything else because if you're doing that and there's another zombie near you, you're
takes-
just perpetually getting hit.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's also, especially if there's a suicider, you're just done.
Did you guys have any trouble getting it to activate? Like, it shows the E.
Yes.
When you
The crosshair was very.
You had to be
weird.
like-
it was very arcadey. Like if you were to have like a gun, with a sensor.
Right.
That's how it kind of
Yeah.
acted.
I didn't
sometimes.
find the crosshair to be the problem. What I found to be the problem was I'd be standing over a zombie. So just to let it be known, 90% of the time when we were playing, we come across zombies. When they run at you, you kick them on the
Yeah.
ground, and then you kick them to death. We
jump in the air and kick, they fall over, and then just kick them to death.
We rarely ever used our weapons unless we got surrounded. So we spent most of the time running around kicking the zombies to death.
Wrestle
which,
kicking.
to be fair, is fun.
That's a great
Kicking
tactic.
zombies to death is fun. But the problem I'd have wasn't the crosshair per se. It was when they were on the ground, you go over the zombie, you put the crosshair over their head. It gives you that little icon where, like, hey, you can curb stomp this guy.
It's going to be a 1-button, very low stamina cost kill.
And you hit it, you hit E, or you click, or whatever you're doing, and it would start the animation and never finish it.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to
Oh,
do
I
it
never had
again.
Yeah,
And it was like-
yeah.
So if you got hit, if you guys had still the 2 kick where it kicks him, he goes, and then he like crushes the skull. If you
What
get
was that
interrupted by a hit, it stops the animation. But I couldn't get that thing to show up, or when it would show up and I'd click E, it would just do a regular kick. So it would be like, I'm going to do the animation because the 1 kick death, he jumps up and then puts both feet on their face and crushes their skull. It wouldn't do it.
So what I noticed when we were playing together is like if we were going after the same zombie,
You don't want to run into those.
if you're going into that curve stomp and I kicked him, that would reset your.
So
curve
it wasn't the
curve.
game's problem; it was your problem.
It was both of ours because it happened to me.
It was
as
your
well.
problem.
Made it
It
my
was
problem.
his fault. I believe someone earlier said fight. Was that you?
Yeah,
and
but-
we're back.
All right. So, final thoughts on the game.
Before that, bugs. Jay,
Yeah, that's true.
I was the only bug I really saw was one of the guys in the straight jackets, the big guys, the bad ones. I'm on a ladder above him, and there's no way for him to get up. And I'm staring at him, and I'm throwing weapons at him, and he's not coming up at me. And then he just yeets right the fuck off the map, straight up into the sky. And I was like,
Did you
cool.
just use yeet?
I did.
All right. Well, you're kicked off the podcast.
Okay, so after
you
he's
won't be
done-
hearing Nate again.
He's yeeting up into the sky. I was like, well, that's easy. He just disappeared. And so I walked down the stairs to right where he was for him to fall out of the sky on my head and murder me to death. I res, and he does the exact same thing. Now I'm wise to his antics, and he falls right back, and I continue to throw weapons at him. But there are some bugs, and that's in the definitive edition, which is supposed to take care of the bugs.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that I saw graphically. So I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with HD versions of a game, namely the Master Chief Edition, also the one before that they did.
but they're gonna fix it.
Exactly.
Never trust
It looked. I even showed you. They made a version where you could tap the graphics off, where you can make it the original Xbox and then back to their HD version.
We
Dead
played that
Island?
together. It was great.
Yeah, the Evolution. It looked like utter garbage in like the HD version of
The
it.
original one looked way better.
It
Is
did.
this
It did.
Dead Island you guys are talking about?
No,
No,
we're
I'm
talking
talking
about-
about Halo. But like to bring that point back home, in this I saw there was just a lot of pullback. So like facial designs,
Yep.
okay, it looked better, but it's more like, oh, we're talking with our jaws and no other facial expression now. You know?
It's like they put out an HD to make it look good compared to the games, but they hadn't.
And one of
redone
the
the
biggest
under.
things that I saw last thing I was playing was hilarious. I saw the worst mustache that I've ever seen in gaming
Oh, yeah.
history. It looked like somebody just took in Photoshop and just markered a mustache up and down on some CPU's lip. That was my other.
Like you grabbed the
takeaway.
morning paper and penciled it on Donald Trump's face,
Exactly.
which everyone should do,
Doesn't he have a
and
mustache?
send it to us.
Yeah.
But also, oh,
You have to bring that out for me. I don't know what.
sorry,
you're talking about.
we missed that opportunity in our last
Yeah.
podcast.
So our last episode, we were talking about Knights of the Republic, and God, this is so dumb. But one of the sound design, it has to do with sound design. They had a very limited amount. There was a lot of dialogue. There was a lot of sound in that game, so I don't want to take anything away from that. But when you're killing the same kind of NPC over and over, you start to realize patterns. And one of the patterns was, and this one wasn't even a pattern because there was a specific type of bad guy where every time you killed him, he made the same noise, and it was
Well, in this game, what was it? The curb stomp you were saying? Every time, no matter what zombie, when, where, size, the head crush noise was always the same. Yeah. They did add. So there's a difference between the original and the definitive. In the definitive, when you would drive over corpses, it would go, which was really alarming because I was playing.
What
the
was
original.
that sound again?
Oh, that
Thank
one
you.
wasn't my mouth. But so in the original, you'd kill zombies and then they were animated. They were an image, but nothing else. And then the definitive, if you drove back over that zombie, it was always the same noise, but it was supposed to be like, I think it was supposed to be a skull or an organ collapsing under the weight of the car. But it was one way you could tell if that zombie you had just backed up over was dead, because it would make that noise if it was a corpse, and if it wasn't a corpse, you'd have to keep pounding into it.
All right, so our final thoughts on the game. Nate.
Good, buy it. Play in a lighted room. Don't play it with headphones. It'll piss off your roommates, but the headphones will scare you. Surround sound is excellent because the zombies' noises are. I don't know if it was 6.1. I didn't check, but
Get a good pair of headphones
yeah,
as well.
my headphones are 6 speaker, and I could hear
And it'll
where
help
the zombies were. Yeah,
if you have directional
yeah.
headphones.
It'll also scare the ever living shit out of you.
Yeah, and to some people that'll help.
Yes.
Not me. Jay?
Great multiplayer game, honestly.
Yeah.
Really good. If it was just an arcade game, honestly, if I would go to an arcade and play this game,
Yeah, for
I'd
sure.
be totally down. I'd give it 10 out of 10 shekels.
I would not give it 10 out of 10, but I didn't put a rating on mine. So
I know.
Never mind.
We shouldn't do
Too far
ratings.
gone. Too far gone.
is why you fail.
Shekels.
So, I agree with Jay. I think it was a lot of fun multiplayer. I would never play this game single player.
No.
That's just me,
I
though.
kind of
Yeah.
refused to before.
Yeah, when we
Um,
decided on it, we were going to play multiplayer together, and then we never did. Thanks, guys.
We did
Thanks.
once.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
But yeah, I think it's great fun with multiplayer. Once it gets repetitive, just stop playing.
Yeah.
Well,
or just switch only to the main storyline quests. Ignore the side quests shortly after.
but I really liked it. Multiplayer is great. I just dropped a beer can. Sorry.
It's a.
Nate, shut the fuck up.
It was a can
I'm
of
trying
off.
to end the episode. So with that, we're done. This is our second episode. Hey, you guys, what's our next game?
What is our next game?
Did we decide?
We never decided our next game. What's it going to be?
How long is the masquerade?
Vampire.
Vampire the
Masquerade.
Yep.
Bloodlines 1.
Bloodlines 1. Bloodlines 2 just got announced at the most recent E3, so we're going to do Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. I don't know if it's on sale. I didn't look that up, but it's definitely on Steam. I imagine it's on Good Old Games. Or if you just have a copy laying around, you can play that. But do yourself a favor and get the fan-made patch because it was an unfinished game. It should be a good one. We're all going to try to finish it this time.
Heck
And
yeah, I'm actually really
Chances
excited.
are I'm not going to finish it.
So me and Jay will probably finish this, and Nate won't. We're going to keep with this motif that we're
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you want to contact us, hit us up at commandcenterpodcast@gmail.com or Command Center Podcast on Instagram. And look us up. Let us know what you think. And have a good month, because we'll see you at the last Friday of next month.
That'll
See
after
you guys at
July 4th,
Comic-Con,
right?
maybe.
I won't be there.
Yeah, you going to Comic-Con? Also, you didn't give him a city.
Exactly.
So
Bye.
maybe. It's a big maybe, guys. We'll see you there.